Hello everyone and welcome back to what is today going to be the top 5 free player classes 2022. We will be updating last year's list, so many of the classes from last year will still be featuring, but we'll see how they've moved up and down the table. So the rules are pretty much exactly the same as before. Banned classes, Legion Revenant, because it's not totally free. Quality classes, Lightcaster, Hero Marts, the list goes on, you know the drill. If you're confused over Legion Revenant, the simple answer is you need a Darkcaster class, and in order to get those without ACs, you need Legion tokens, and of course for that you need to be in the Legion, and for that you need to pay. But enough on that, let us move on to number 5, which is going to stay exactly the same. Scarlet Sorceress you can get from Tower of Mirrors by defeating the boss you can see on screen. It doesn't usually take too long, and Blood Sorceress is one of the best early game classes you can get your hands on. At this point, we best also mention Evolved Leprechaun. Of course, this one is seasonal from luck. It only recently got buffed, and as a free player class, it's one of those that if you haven't got, you really should go and grab. Next up at number 4.5 is Yami no Ronin. This one is down 2 spots. If you're a free player and want to get your hands on it, you can do this quest on screen. However, it is really long-winded, and for a class that I haven't even bothered getting to rank 10, it kind of says enough and it can't go any higher. It is an S tier class, and it is an ultimate dodger and an insanely good PvP one. It is also a really good soloing class, but compared to ones we're going to come on to later, it just doesn't quite hit the mark. But if you haven't got it and you've got a lot of spare time in your hands as a free player, then go along and get it. But it is a lot easier to go along and do it the paid way. So next we're going to move on to what is at number 4, which is my personal favourite, Stonecrusher class, one of the best support solo, and you can even use this in PvP if you really want to. It is down 1 spot this year, but that is not for any particular reason other than everything else has just upped its game that little bit. It does decent damage, and for years this was my go-to solo class. Now we can't go on about Stonecrusher and not mention Lord of Order. These two together are pretty much essential part of every single challenge fight nowadays, and that isn't going to change anytime soon. So if you don't have either of these classes, you really do need to make sure you're going along and getting them. Next up, number 3, keeping the same spot as it was last year, it is Arch Paladin. This class again has had recent class changes, and that changes the 5th skill mechanic ever so slightly into how you actually go about using this class, but it still has insanely good damage, always the go-to healer when you're making up team comps for challenge fights, and it still has that farming capability alongside it as well. So it is a nice all-round class if you want to go along farm it to get your hands on it, but again slightly more end game, and that is where we're heading with these ones now. So let us move on to number 2, which is gonna be Archfiend. So judging that we already ruled out Legion Revenant, and that also means we can't use the Chronomancer, it leaves us with Archfiend, which to me is the 3rd best farmer in the game, and certainly the best free player one you can go along and get. Your 2nd and 3rd ability have insanely low cooldowns, much similar to the Chronomancer, and it means you can just skill spam away. The only downside is it is a 2 target class, but the DPS does more than make up for that. Honourable mentions would be Vampire Lord and Blazebinder if you were looking for 3 target ones anyway. So let us move on to what is number 1.5, Chaos Avenger class. This one is one of my favourites, and again it is becoming one of those classes that is used more and more in challenge fights. It is a great soloer, it's not too bad at PvP either, and it has got really high damage output with it. Not to forget mentioning, this is also a taunting class and very much endgame, as you will need to complete all of the Chaos Saga to even think about going along and grinding for it. And finally at number 1, it was always going to be Void High Lord. This one maintains its spot at the top, and even after some ups and downs, it stays consistently as an absolute beast. The only downside with it is it will take you quite a while to farm it, especially if you don't have any Nulgath pets, but when you do eventually manage to use it, it will change your life in this game forever. You'll be able to solo pretty much anything, PvP pretty much anything, and just absolutely smash through monsters and new events. All that considered, Void High Lord is still going to be the go-to class for anyone who wants that endgame pinnacle farm. Obviously there are harder ones, Necrotic Sword, cough, but we will ignore that and glance over it. So let us have a look at how the class movements have gone. Most notably, we have got the Chaos Avenger and Archfiend making an appearance, and Yami no Ronin has gone all the way from number 2 down to number 4. Kicked off the list, Dragon of Time, it's just a really long farm for something that ends up in the bank, and Shadow Scythe General has also disappeared. Anyway guys, thank you all very much for watching. Make sure you give the video a like, and of course subscribe, and I'll see you all again very soon for more top 5s when they come about. Until next time, have a lovely day.